Welcome to episode 52 of the Short Convos podcast with Miralai and
JC Warrior of Light Cashman. Loving the headband. As for those listeners on the podcast, has a nice wide headband on. Have you got to wait 6 months to the next? Oh, I was going to say, you managed to get in again.
I'm chopping it all off. I've had enough. We're going
full
short.
Baldy?
And not full baldy, but we're going short and tight
back
and trimmed. And yeah, like just enough. I've had enough. Fed up of it. It's getting in the way.
How do we find you this week, Az? I notice you're in a grey jumper. Is that intentional?
Not intentional, but what's the word? Appropriate.
It sums it up.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in physical pain. And I don't know if we spoke about this with you the other week. You remember when you had your back pain?
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm in the same spot this week. Lower back pain, mild, but enough to be irritating. And the big thing is it's constant. It's just all day. So that's put me in a bit of a bad mood. But everything else in life is cushy, which is so.
Is this back pain? Did you lift someone, or is it stress?
My back pain is the most irritating kind of back pain, where I could go lift something that's 3 times my body weight, nothing happens. But then one day I get up off the sofa a bit funny and something just goes inside, and then I'm messed up for at least a week. And I think it's that kind of back pain. Either that or it's my car, but we're not even gonna go there. We'll be fine. I'll do some yoga. I'll be good as new in no time. It is not an issue. How are you doing? You look actually very bright and bushy-tailed, if I may say.
I'm a little fatigued today. I feel a little tired, but in a good way. As in, I feel I've put my time on this rotating planet today to good use. The last week, but I'm tired because of it. So it's been productive. I haven't, faltered at anything. I haven't thought, I don't want to be doing this, but it's been all go.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, that's good. I think that's a nice place to be. You're doing the right stuff when you get to the end of the day and you're like, I'm ready for bed, but for the right reasons.
And so going back to like what we spoke about a few episodes back, I've stuck to my my evening and morning routines of like, I'm being real strict with it now. 10 o'clock, devices off, and having a read before today. I'm finding that it's like all things, isn't it? Once you've done it for a longer period of time, you start to really notice the benefit from it. And if you skip a day, miss a day, or you notice the difference when you're not.
Yeah, you've got to just ingrain the habit again. Once the habit is set, then it can start building on momentum and doing stuff. And that's the hardest part. I've got a really good rule that's been helping me, which is the never miss 2 days. So whatever it is, going to the gym, eating healthy, I can slip up here and there, not do something, but I can't and I won't allow myself to do it 2 days in a row. And I find once you've done it 2 days in a row, it's very easy to then fall off with something. But if you can get right back on after a little slip, then you can keep the momentum going. So that's helped me out.
Yeah, 2 in a row. I like that. I don't bring much to the conversation, if I'm honest today, as I'm sure we will converse. But I do bring a food. Thing.
Okay.
So I don't know if this is even a thing for you or if it's ever come up in conversation. I'm just going to throw it out there, okay? And we'll see what comes back. You ready?
Ready.
Sweet corn. Where are you at? I know we all know it comes out the way it goes in and everything else. We don't need to go into the details, but where you at as with sweet corn? I think it tells a lot about a person.
Okay. I don't enjoy it out of a tin. I don't enjoy it in a pile on a plate, but on the cob, it's one of my favorite things to eat.
Yeah, so you're like a CC. I'm not deterred by sweet corn in a pile or on a plate or out of a tin, but could you tell that I've eaten today before? And
yes.
we had corn on the cob, and I was thinking, I haven't asked Az, I don't think, unless I've not asked before, have I? On the
No,
cob,
no. I enjoy it on the cob, whether it
No.
be in the oven, in the grill, barbecue in particular, slathered in
Buttered?
butter. Yes,
Yeah.
butter.
Roll it around.
Buttered to the moon and back, ideally. Have you ever had it with sugar on it?
No, I haven't.
I think it's a
It's worth a
Mexican
go,
thing
is it?
that they do it like as a treat for the kids, and it's literally buttered and then
Okay.
rolled in sugar. I haven't actually had it. I was just curious if you had. I've heard good
Not
things.
cooked or anything.
It's
Not
like cooked. No, cooked. Cooked as you would.
As in with the
either
sugar.
on the grill, but with so the sugar's kind of caramelized a little bit on the outside.
Oh, that does sound good. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never tried it, but I just don't know if it's too sweet at that point.
Oh, you can't get too sweet, as these people that
No?
talk about too sweet. No.
Oh,
No,
I don't know.
not at all.
I think it can get too sweet. I mean, you can have a single mouthful of anything and it can't be too sweet. But I think things can get sickly if you had to eat no?
Nah.
Okay.
You know, some
we'll
people
differ
don't
on
have a gag reflex. I don't have the sweet reflex.
You don't have there's
There
no
is- I think November last year for my dad's birthday, I think I did 6 desserts back to back. we
you could induce diabetes in one day.
Yeah. No, there's no. But back to the sweet corn. My nan never liked sweet corn. For some reason, she always saw it as bird food. So she used to always have it in. Used to always get it. Used to always be defrosting it. But for the birds, it was bird food.
That's interesting.
Aye.
That's funny. I don't like it mixed in stuff, especially. Like, I really don't like tuna mixed in with sweet corn.
Oh,
For me,
no, I'm not offended by that. No, I'm not offended by that.
I don't know why. It like actually grosses me out a bit, even though I like both things individually. But the two things meshed together, it puts me off. I don't know if my family have a habit of putting it into rice. And I'm just like, why? Why would you put it?
Again, I wouldn't be offended with that. No.
Yeah,
no,
I don't know if I'm offended with it. I just don't think it belongs there.
It has its place
a good one.
on our cob.
I've got a top 3.
Oh, okay.
It takes us somewhere else.
Top
3 sounds.
Ooh.
Now, we haven't done this, have we?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think
that's
so.
a good one. That's a good one.
Top 3 sounds. I don't think we've done this.
I've got a feeling I might have actually. Yeah, I've got a feeling. Well, let me say one because I know one. And these are going to be in no particular order unless I decide so in a moment. But one of my favourite sounds is on my camper because the camper makes plenty of good sounds. I must be thinking of it because of when you've driven. You came with us. And it's the headlight beam. It's the flick. It's just a very metallic metal click where when you I can't make the sound, but when you do the headlight beam, the full beam, that is one of my favourite sounds, and it immediately puts you in the camper on a trip somewhere as well. So yeah, full beam, click.
I think we have had this conversation, not on the podcast, but I think you have told me that is one of your. I'm pretty sure.
I kind of recall on the way to Cornwall going, as you ready for this?
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Should we go 1 for 1 on this one?
Yeah, go for it.
So one of my favorite sounds is real like lightning and thunder.
Oh,
as like a nature sound goes, I think it's one of the most epic sounds ever. It sounds exactly like what it is. You know what I mean? Just dangerous. You don't want to get touched with it. Stuff.
Take me further. Where have you been with your best, most epic of that?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably just at home. I don't actually recall a time where I've been properly out in it and experienced it like that. But at home we've had it a few times where I don't know if it's like London attracts it with high buildings and stuff or whatever, antennas. But we've had some pretty gnarly storms, and just when it almost feels like it's physically shaking the building you're in. That's like quite a sensation. I think when you feel nature affect your surroundings, then you're kind of just like, whoa, that's a thing.
May I share mine? We were in America, in Florida. Young exactly where. Let's say Daytona Beach or somewhere like that, and we're in a hotel with quite a lot of the American hotels. They've got like walkways that look outside, around the outside of the building. And there was this storm out at sea, a thunder and lightning storm at sea, and the entire horizon was lit up by all these lightning streaks and everything like else. Went on for like, we sat there, I can remember sitting there with mum, dad, years ago now. And it wasn't where we were, but it was happening at sea. And I think that was probably one of the most beautiful, like, spectacular displays of it I've seen. That was good.
Yeah, it's super cool. If you get to, there's good like satellite footage of it where you can see it from the other side, and kind of going through the clouds and things, and it's something to behold. It's just, it's pretty fascinating.
I've got my top three now. So my second one, I wouldn't say these are in any particular order. My second one is the sound of water. In particular, I'm in a conservatory at the moment, so that sound of rain or just flowing water. I love sitting next to flowing water and that sound of it going through the rocks or wherever it's going, or a waterfall, or water in its natural movement sense.
Yes, water is natural water is probably one of the most beautiful and calming sounds, isn't it?
Yes.
If you, I don't know if you've ever listened to sleep sounds or white noise or anything, but there's tons of rainfall ones and water hitting the beach. There's obviously something in our brains that knows.
I love those rain sticks. You know those rain sticks?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got one, but yeah, I love them. I had a friend who had a really, really like long one, and you turn it and it go for about 10 minutes. Yeah, it was wicked.
That's cool. Yeah, I want one of those. I'm gonna get a rain stick. What about sound number two? Sound number two is probably the sound of a piano. I don't know if that quite counts, but the sound of a piano over, because I'm primarily a guitarist, but the instrument that in my ears resonates the nicest has always been a piano. I just think it makes a very special sound.
Any particular piano?
The nicer the better. You know, like I've been fortunate enough to hear a full grand piano be played, and like nothing compares. But honestly, any kind of piano I go for. My granddad used to build and then tune and repair them. So it's just kind of in me from a very young age to enjoy the piano and appreciate it. And then going through music school and exploring it more, you just I just have a very big appreciation for what it does, what an instrument is.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, great one. This is the gold. This is my top of the top three, and that's the first noise your newborn child makes. That first cry. That's something to behold. Especially the first one. You know what's coming with the next ones, but we had a little bit of a gap between, so it was just as special. But that first noise of the newborn child, that's out in front of everybody, definitely.
I guess that's a real mixed bag of sensations, right? Because you've never heard that before, and you know what it signifies in terms of, like, you know, a shift. It's like a real paradigm shift of what your life is going to be like moving forward.
Yeah, I mean it much more than just the sound, like you said with the piano. Just a baby crying, you can appreciate a newborn baby crying, but it's just that sound. You've had that 9 months, period of which, you know, it gets even more surreal the closer you get to your first child again as well, or any child, but it gets even more intense. And then that moment when you hear them for the first time, and thankfully Lauren was fine during the whole birthing process, and with the child as well. We had no problems. We're fortunate in that sense. So the delivery was as natural as it could be, and everything else. And then it's also that realization at the same time. It's like, all right, shit, I'm in charge here. So that's way up there.
Yeah, that's a great one. My last one, I guess it's a bit of a cheat, but it counts for me. It's the sound of stillness, and like this can be experienced in a lot of different ways and
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of different times. Because I'll give you an example of a stillness that was not very quiet, and it was one of the grading courses that we did with the martial arts. Get the bell. We got a bell. Yeah. With the martial arts, and
Bing.
I think it was the bag work. Everyone was hitting a bag. The room was full of boom, 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 scream, shouts, breathing, everything. But in that moment, there was a stillness because everyone was doing exactly what they were. Everyone had their intentions on what they should have their intentions on. And when you can sit back in a room and be present of that, that's a very beautiful thing. And then whatever the sound is of people doing exactly what they're meant to be doing when they're meant to be doing it, that's always a beautiful sound.
I was watching a film last night, actually, and I've watched it over a few nights. I started watching it, I think it was Saturday, and fell asleep, and then watched a bit Sunday, and then watched a bit last night before cut-off time. Well, no, Ned finished it last night. And they actually capture that moment during it, and it's in The Last Samurai, the Tom Cruise Last Samurai film. And it's at the end when they attack the baddie Japanese, or however you want to put it. And they're full fighting, and then the main samurai dude and Tom Cruise, it just stops and like pans round in the middle of the fight, and it's all like happening between them. And then it's what you just said. Everyone's doing what they're meant to be doing at that moment, but there's a stillness. Yeah. I think that captured it really well.
Good one.
Yeah,
Good
I like
example.
that. That was a really we haven't done top sounds, I'm pretty sure, and
Yeah,
that,
I'm
that
pretty
was
sure.
enjoyable. I couldn't have guessed yours. I would have, in hindsight, maybe come up with an instrument, but I wouldn't have guessed the others.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of also just like what I'd call satisfying sounds, but they're not like, for example, a good zip, a really good proper
Yeah,
zip. I enjoy that sound. And the same with like anything that clicks into place but has a good click to it. But they're not like top sounds.
yeah.
But I can appreciate a good bit of mechanics where something goes in where it's meant to go. That's also a good noise. But
I don't know
they're
if
not top sounds.
it's the sound or the experience, but smashing something. I
Yeah.
really enjoy smashing something.
I think
But I
that's
think
a
that's
that's a all
more.
senses kind of thing,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. That's not
But
sound specific, is it?
yeah, for sure. Do you have one sound you really don't like?
Oh.
Really can't stand? Grates on you.
There's several voices I don't like that belong to people. One sound I don't like. Go on, as you give us one, we'll have a think.
Oh, I wasn't actually prepared for it myself, but I'm sure I can
Right.
think of something.
Maybe we'll come back to this in a minute. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
let's
sure
come
there
back to
is.
it.
Because smell comes to mind, but I'm sure there's a sound that offends as well. But actually, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I mentioned the film or something. I was watching it the other day, but I've got a recommendation for everyone out there. I don't know if you have yet, ads. The Last Chance You docu-series on Netflix. They've just brought out a new season, which I just finished, where it goes along the basketball journey. But all the previous seasons, they were American football. Have you Last Chance You?
I did series one. I've watched enough of it to know exactly what it is. Yes, it's a great recommendation.
I think if you're into sport and the psychology of it, or just a bit of what would you call it? It's a bit of sort of social dynamics, everything, isn't it? I just think the Last Chance You. I think the way they shot it, this last one, the basketball one, I think they done even the best cinematography for it as well, and they just piece it together so well. I think it's a fantastic series. And this one, it actually, just in case you watch, I won't spoil it. It runs into the pandemic as well, and it's very relevant for sport people. So we've all had our time disrupted, massively by not doing events or anything else. The whole world has everything, haven't they? Weddings, a whole lot. But yeah, it's very relevant for sport people as well. So if you want a bit of grounding, if you're missing your sport or that kind of thing, watch Last Chance You.
Yeah, I think anything that shows high level competition is always a really interesting watch, especially if they let you on the inside of it, like you really get to see the inner
Mm.
workings. I think that stuff is always just really fascinating to take in because there's always different approaches, isn't there? There's different ways of being competitive, and different people have a different thing, but there's like overarching principles that you seem to see again and again and again, regardless of the field, regardless of the sport. There's certain things that you're just like, you're a competitor, and you see it in them. Or even as a coach, like the coach is, you're like, you're a competitive coach, as opposed to just
Yeah,
a nice person.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's good
big
to explore it.
on that side of things, made me think actually. I don't know if you've got something to say about it, but I'm sure we can converse about it. Tiger King, where have
Mm-hmm.
you been with that?
We watched it.
Because,
We watched
yeah,
all of it. But we watched it when it came out at the start of the pandemic. So lockdown one, where we really didn't know what to do with ourselves, to be honest. So we jumped into it, and yeah, we watched it all the way through. Have you watched it? Did you
well,
expose yourself to
the
it?
reason I brought it up is no, I didn't watch it, and I suppose it was a bit of a choice not to watch it. Well, uh, let's. It just didn't seem to capture me as something that I'd want to watch. I didn't. I was probably watching Last Chance U instead, whichever season, or no, I was watching Michael Jordan or something, or NFL was on, so didn't have time for it. And but we watched. Lauren was watching Louis Theroux. I really enjoy Louis Theroux's
Mm-hmm.
take on
Me too.
everything, and he's done one on the Lion King, Tiger King, a follow up. So I've got a gist. Lauren caught me up with the story and what happened and everything. So I believe Louis Theroux interviewed him prior to it coming onto Netflix. Then he came onto Netflix, and then what happened. And then Louis Theroux's done this follow-up one with him in
In jail.
incarcerated now.
Wow.
But he doesn't go to see him. He basically goes through all of his old footage. So it's Louis Theroux basically saying, I went back through and I found all this old footage that we didn't share. And then he meets up with a bird that was his arch enemy that fed her husband to the tiger. And
Mhm.
did she? Did she?
I don't know. I really
but
don't know.
But my point on it is like I've got no after watching that I've got no want to watch the Tiger King now. I'm not gonna entertain myself with that because I just have an overwhelming sadness about it all. That we live in a world where this is happening to these animals. Whatever fuss or whatever they're up to, as people and everything else. But they're breeding animals that are almost extinct in nature, in captivity, and treating them. Yeah, it's just I found it really quite deeply disturbing.
Well, so this is what happened as someone who did watch it and who I consider myself aware on stuff like that, wildlife preservation and endangered animals and all the rest of it. Um, they really dress it up in a way, especially in the early episodes, where you don't quite understand what's going on. When you watch episode 1 and 2, as far as you can tell, it's like a wildlife reserve, and they're actually just raising these endangered animals and helping to rebreed them and repopulate. And it unfolds that they're actually horrific people, and that none of this is kosher and all of this is messed up. And then you get enthralled in the stories, and it's almost nothing to do with the tigers by the end of it. It's all about this guy, one of the guys, spoilers for anyone who's not watched it and you don't intend to watch it, so I'm going to throw a spoiler out. One guy on film shoots himself in the head, like suicides
This
himself.
is his partner, isn't it?
It's one of the guys, yeah, his partner, one of the guys who was working for him. And they don't show it, but I imagine the footage is there, but they show the reaction of someone who's standing in the room when it happens. So it's like we're way off talking about tigers at this point, and it's this insane cult social dynamic that really is what you kind of stick around for. One of the girls gets her arm ripped off by a tiger. Straight up ripped off. She worked there, put it in the wrong place at the wrong time, lost her arm, has a stump for the rest of the thing. And she's just like, oh, it's fine. These things happen. It's no one's fault. It's probably my fault. Blah, blah, blah. It's insanity. And it's only by the end of it that you're kind of brought back to the thought of the tigers. And you go, oh my God, these poor animals. But they take you way off of that path with it. But there's more, they had more animals in captivity than are in the wild. That's how mad the breeding was out there. They've got like hundreds of cats in America, more than you would find in their natural habitat doing what they'd naturally do.
Yeah, I just find that whole thing is, just weird.
Yeah,
just
like
weird.
If I knew it all going in, I wouldn't have watched it. And that's what I mean. I think when you just saw it on Netflix and all you saw was this guy with tigers, you clicked on it, you watched episode 1, and then you're in. But I think if having known it all, and especially what a media whore this guy turned out to be, where, he's in prison now, but he's basically a celebrity and he's just like suckling on the teat of this celebrity, I would not entertain it for a moment. Like this whole Jake Paul, Logan Paul thing, I've got no interest, right? No interest, because it's like you're just trying to be famous for the sake of being famous to get money, because your world is so small that that's what you think is of value. But you don't see that going into Tiger King. It's something else. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but I'll say that much.
Yeah. So we get a recommendation and a non-recommendation.
Just leave it out. You do. If you haven't watched it, you missed the boat, and B, the boat ain't worth jumping on. So just leave it as is.
Don't sell that sinking ship.
No, don't. For sure. How is your training going, if I may ask?
Training since the start of the year, since this third lockdown, like we're technically out of it now, has been going really, really well. Really well. I've been actually pulling off 720s today in the class. And I feel I'm actually aching. I hurt today because we've upped the conditioning with the Fight Club again, and I'm feeling fast. I'm feeling technically good. I haven't done so much karate, but we ran through all the katas the other week. For not that age is a thing, but it is relevant for my age and lifestyle, as in what I'm doing, family, everything else. I'm really pleased with things at the moment, and I've got a good training's in balance. It's in balance. You?
I only ask, well, before I tell you, I only ask because at our stage in where we're at with it, the goals are very different with our training, because I don't know about you, but I teeter on and off about competing again, but probably won't compete again at the level that, we used to compete. So it's like my whole approach and attitude is had to change towards my relationship with training is had to change in order to have a relationship with it. Because I think you see so many people who are athletes when they're younger, and then they just lose it when they get older because the relationship isn't the same. But I noticed, you've kept yourself in shape. I've stayed in shape. So that's really what I wanted to ask is, what are you training for, if anything? What has kept you motivated? I think it's interesting for people to hear.
Yeah. I think prior to this whole pandemic, I would say it all slipped quite a bit because I was just super busy with everything. And the training was just not a priority whatsoever. The priority was whatever it was, training others or, working, family, whatever it was. The training had slipped. I would go in and out of it, and occasionally do it and not. But looking back, I think you don't realise how, even though we're conditioned, how out of condition your body does come to what you used to it being conditioned, if that makes sense. I'm past the point of competing. I won't compete again. I don't need to compete again. And I'm already doing enough at tournaments, mostly running them, refereeing, coaching on them, and everything else. So I won't throw competing in there as well. During the lockdowns, the first lockdown in particular, last year, the longer one, I did shed load of pre-recorded stuff, like usually the full 45-minute lesson at a time. And I would do the full fitness workout because I felt I needed to do it because that's what the person was watching to follow along and everything else. So I'm pleased I did it because it was, I've created a nice catalogue. So I was training for that. Now I'm training why I think everyone trains, or what I push in particular is I'm training because I know it benefits everyday life. I know it benefits all the challenges that we have. So at Fight Club yesterday, I'm going to do a post of it. Actually, I got it videoed what I said. But I said during, like, we're doing this conditioning at the moment where you got to do ladders and then lift something or flip a tire or whatever. And then we're working indoors, working some technique. I said to everyone, you've got three choices where when you hit this point where you have to push yourself, you have three choices. And this point right now, we're doing training. So, you know, we're doing 5 minutes on this station. You're going to hit a point where you start to get tired. You're going to push yourself. But when I refer to pushing yourself, it could be any walks of life. You know, it could be exams. It could be getting ready for a business meeting. It could be anything. And so you've got three choices. One, make an excuse and give up. So in our competition, our training, you always see, oh, my leg hurts, or, you know, the injury comes up again, and you make an excuse and you stop. The second choice, which obviously you don't want to do at all. The second choice, not as bad as the first, but you don't want to do it either, is you do nothing at all. You don't quit, you don't give an excuse, but you just don't put the effort in. Or you see people in training, you know, especially when it's a circuit, just sort of standing around, you know, daydreaming or whatever. And I said that's not good because you're just not moving forward. You're not using the time you've got. And then there's the third choice, which is to take control of that moment. It is in that moment, that last 10 seconds, the first 10, the second 10, every 10 seconds to push yourself the most, because that might actually keep you standing still and not going backwards. You know, some people are saying haven't fought in a ring. If you're fighting a ring and you're standing toe to toe with someone, there's nowhere you can go. You've got to push yourself just to stand toe to toe. And then more often than not, if you push yourself, you will come out victorious. You will come out the better. And I said that training, I was saying last night, is what instills that push in yourself. You will only react by training it. It won't be a case of, okay, this is the moment I need to push myself, so I'm going to choose to push myself. It's going to be a moment that happens in life or in the fight or in the competition that is out of your control. It's thrown on you. And it's only in that moment, if you've trained pushing yourself, will you push yourself. So yeah, that's why I train.
I like that. See, I'm going to take credit for pulling that out of you because I think that was a nice little monologue. Boom. Yeah. I think we should just have a quote and leave it there.
Yeah.
That was too tidy
I'm
to
go train.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to
push ups.
Let's go hit stuff.
Well, it's not a deep, meaningful quote, but you could probably understand why I went to it. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Oh, I wonder why this was your choice for today / yesterday /
No, today, because yesterday was May the 4th be with you. Today is Revenge of the 5th. Come on, Az. Come on, man.
You know, the worst thing is, I can't remember when I first heard this, May the 4th be with you. But when I first heard it, I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I thought it was so clever. And now I hear it and it drives me insane. And I'm a Star Wars fan.
It drives you mad, though. You're not embracing.
I'm not. Last year, I embraced it reluctantly. I was like, it is the 4th. May the 4th be with you. But I wasn't enjoying saying it. And then this year, I'm actually a little put off by it. to an
Anti-hero.
extent. Couldn't tell you why. I'll go watch Star Wars and then I'll feel better about it.
Ian sends me loads of Star Trek jokes. So all day I just get like, beat me up, Scotty, and Star Trek related things.
Do you like Star Trek?
No. I like the new films. I like the Abraham films. I think he's done well with them. But the original thing and all of that. No, I'm not a Trekkie.
No, it's normally one or the other, right? All right, my quote to finish us off will be, I'm trying to pick, I had a couple set up. I'm going to go for this one. This is quite a cheesy classic quote, but I think sometimes the cheesy ones are the best. So we'll leave it to people's opinions. There are no limits to what you can accomplish except the limits you place on your own thinking. Brian Tracy.
Love it.
There you go.
Love it.
Boom. Smashed it.
Limitless.
No
Well,
limits.
like, comment, subscribe, share, all of those things that you usually do.
Find us on the social media platforms. We are on most of them. Instagram, Facebook, Short Convos podcast. You will find us. Get subscribed, get liking. We appreciate it.
Peace out.
Out.